Greetings all, Ferrari Man 601 here. Welcome back to the Formula Corona 2020 series. This is round 2 of 5 in this inaugural Formula Corona Championship. We're going to be racing in Bahrain. Those of you who have seen the first installment of this series will know that we had an absolutely diabolically horrible race in Australia, and therefore we have yielded the following points table here for the driver's title. Right now, Valtteri Bottas leads the Drivers' Championship over Lewis Hamilton. Of course, these are the results from Australia by default, so you can see what everything was on the day, and therefore the points follow accordingly. The long and short of it is, our teammate has scored a point, and we have not. We're all the way down here in P18, running in the McLaren of Lando Norris. However, notably, we are classified ahead of Sebastian Vettel of Ferrari. We finished the race, barely, but we did. Sebastian Vettel and Robert Kubica both failed to finish. So, we're ahead of a 4-time world champion and ahead of the greatest racing driver of all time, if you ask anybody from Poland. Therefore, I guess we could be proud of that. However, our target really should be our teammate Carlos Sainz there in P10. I said in Australia that this car really should be a P10 and above car, and Carlos Sainz very much illustrating that point perfectly. So it's our effort now to try and upend our teammate as much as possible, and therefore we're going to try to do that here in Bahrain. The Constructors' Championship looks much the same. McLaren here last in the Constructors' Championship to have scored points thus far. We've got 1 point on the board, courtesy of Carlos Sainz. We're ahead of Haas, Williams, and Alfa Romeo. Alfa there, classified below Williams even. That isn't good. You can see Mercedes, having finished first and second in Australia, they already have a cool 44 points to their name. Ferrari, a distant second, followed immediately by Red Bull, and then Force Canada Racing Dot in 4th place with 12 on the board. Toro Rosso even with 10 on the board. So, yes, the Constructors' Championship already not much of a fight going on. However, we're really focused on the driver standings. Can we upend Carlos Sainz there to get P10 here in round 2? Anything is possible, but first, we must qualify next. Before we get started with qualifying here for our little Formula Corona Championship, a little bit of real-world news. It has come out in the days following the cancellation of the Australian Grand Prix that the Bahrain Grand Prix also is cancelled. Previously, that race was slated to have been held behind closed doors, closed to the public, no spectators allowed at the circuit. However, perhaps some cooler heads have prevailed and said, nope, that's not happening now. And furthermore, the FIA and Formula One management have both come out issuing statements saying that now it could be expected that the start of the season may not happen until late May. So, this immediately casts doubts upon the Spanish Grand Prix and the Dutch Grand Prix as well. Of course, the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, slated to return to the calendar for the first time since 1985. There has been a huge amount of hype surrounding the return of this event to the calendar. However, at this point, a time frame of late May, that more so lines up with, of all places, Monaco, rather than the Netherlands in terms of its spot in the calendar. So Spain and the Netherlands very much in doubt at this time. And of course, depending on what happens in neighboring Italy, the race in Monaco may well be in doubt as well. However, at this time, they're looking at mid to late May as the time frame for the start of the season. The Monaco Grand Prix, of course, tends to be in late May in terms of its slot on the calendar. So if that were to be the season opener, it would definitely be a rather extraordinary thing to see. Probably would not be very indicative of the overall balance of power as far as the championship is concerned, because Monaco tends to be a little bit of a strange event, all things considered. It's a very unconventional place for a motor race. However, if it were to be the season opener, it would be quite the spectacle. And I don't believe that Monaco has ever hosted round 1 of the World Championship before. So it would be something quite unique to see. However, a little bit more news in terms of what has happened around the world. Of course, first and foremost, I do hope that all of you are well and continue to be well. If any of you are not well, please seek the appropriate assistance immediately. In the meantime, the Formula One world, apparently it came out that the result of canceling the Australian Grand Prix, the way that we got to that point, was actually consensus among the teams. Previously, I had reported to you that Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel had both left the circuit. They went home before the race was announced as having been canceled. And ultimately, what decided that was a consensus among the teams. Mercedes were the linchpin behind all of this. However, it's a little bit more convoluted than we were initially led to believe. We had the impression that Mercedes were willing to race, and that was true. However, they reneged on that, and that was what tipped the scales in favor of against. Apparently, Daimler, the chairpeople at Daimler over in Germany, wrote a letter to Toto Wolff saying, we see what you're doing here, and we appreciate your willingness to compete. However, think of the safety of your competitors as well as of your employees. So Toto Wolff apparently had a change of heart with a little bit of prodding from upper-level management. Mercedes changed their vote, and therefore the event was canceled. So that was a consensus of at least 6 of the 10 teams saying, no, we don't want to do this anymore. Therefore, Australia did not happen. Furthermore, we do know that the Chinese Grand Prix has been canceled for a while. Bahrain, at this point, canceled as well. I know that the hype is going to say postponed, but you tell me where you're going to slot these events into the calendar later on, well out of sync with when the events were initially supposed to take place. So at this point, we're looking at mid to late May as the start of the season, perhaps in Monaco, perhaps in the Netherlands, perhaps in Spain. However, all of this depends on what happens around the world. Speaking of things happening around the world, the United States, a couple days before the planned date of the Australian Grand Prix, they imposed a travel ban to and from Europe, and that remains in effect at this time. Beyond that, we're continuing to see the number of cases grow. We're also seeing the number of people recovering grow. So all in all, things are not looking too terrible. However, we're certainly not out of the woods with this. And obviously the effect that is having on motorsport around the world, not only Formula One, but IndyCar and IMSA and the World Endurance Championship, all kinds of havoc still being wreaked by this. Everybody's season is completely upended. Other non-motorsport sporting events completely upended for the most part. It's something that we've just not seen before, and it's a little bit unsettling, but it's a whole lot better than the alternative of throwing all caution to the wind and just hoping for the best, although we could debate all day long in terms of whether or not that would have caused any trouble at all. But, again, this is what we're seeing, and, well, I suppose that all in all, it's okay, but we definitely would like to see some sort of return to normalcy in the near future. With that, though, it's time to go qualify in Bahrain. So, soft tires on, one qualifying lap, one hot lap to get it all right or to get it all wrong. I think we can still shoot for a top 10 starting grid position. We did that in Australia. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well for us there, but maybe the nighttime is going to be kind to us, into Parc Fermé conditions, and to the track. Now, I must say that I am not at all a fan of this circuit. I know it's been on the calendar for 15, 16 years already, but I don't think it's particularly nice to drive, and with the exception of 2014, it really has not put up too many highlight events for us. However, considering that we will not see a Bahrain Grand Prix this year, I think it's appropriate to include it here in our little mini-series. So far here, coming toward the end of Sector 1, where are we going to line up on the grid? So far we're lined up in P8, however there is a long way to go. Again, we should have a top 10 car underneath us, but I'm not the best at this circuit. Don't like it very much. I've certainly not driven here nearly as much as I have at some other places. So if we can make it into the top 10, I'll be quite satisfied with that. For the end of Sector 2 and the start of Sector 3. Continuing to hold P8 at the moment. A big bobble there. That's going to cost us a lot of time. It hit the curb weirdly. Down into the P14. Oh dear. Careful speeding the power back onto the final corner. Yeah, we're not making that time back. No way. Looks like P14 is where we're going to be. And we confirm that. That's no good. That's no good at all. That's not our objective met. See the final starting grid.
Qualifying finished. It's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Hamilton, Leclerc, and Max Verstappen. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry. We'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
Well, yes, P14, that's where we are, but look at who's not in front of us, our teammate. Where is Carlos Sainz? Wow, he's down in 18th. Okay, so to some degree, we've swapped positions. We're between Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, splitting the two Alfa Romeos there. So we've got ourselves some work cut out for us. Lewis Hamilton, of course, on pole, just a tenth ahead of Charles Leclerc. And Max Verstappen there, splitting the two Ferraris. Interesting to see. Valtteri Bottas, the winner on Australia, he is almost 4/10 off of his teammate on pole. So, yeah, it may be a little bit more interesting than we initially bargained for. But, all right, that's where we start. Where do we finish? We'll find out presently. Stand by. Welcome onto the grid in our lowly P14 starting position. Not at all pleased with that qualifying lap. Probably could have done better, but we bobbled at the end of Sector 2, the beginning of Sector 3, and that was all it took to fall down the order to the strategy screen. I don't think we're going to try anything weird with our pit stop. Looks like we're going to stop on lap 7. So we're going to try and maintain that. But just as we did in Australia, we're going to load up on the fuel. We have 14 laps of this race. We're going to put just under 20 laps of fuel on board. So hopefully we won't have to manage the engine settings too much throughout the balance of the event. And of course, as we saw in Australia, we should have a little bit of a performance advantage toward the end as everybody else has to turn their engines down. And we don't. So we'll see if we can play the long game in that regard. However, we're not going to be looking to repeat the start in Australia, where we were punted actually by Kimi Räikkönen, not by Kevin Magnussen. He was actually an innocent victim of our front end spearing into the side of him. But we'll see. We still finished last there, and let's not finish last here. I'd like to score some points. I've still got 0 on the board right now, but let's see. No formation lap, straight into the start procedure right now. The engine into mode 3. We'll go into overtake mode. Clutch in, revs coming up, and the lights are out, and off we go. A little bit slow away. And braking. Everybody braking. Gonna have to be judicious about this. Down to P15. Giovinazzi got us up the outside there, and we're getting hit from the back. No damage, it would appear. So we're down 1 spot. That's going to be very optimistic. Let's not try that. Got to keep ourselves clean here. We may be on for some points later. Okay, that's 1 position. And a move that really should not have happened, but there it was. Daniel Ricciardo going into a disappearing wedge there. A little bit of contact there, rubber to rubber, no problem.
Let's focus now for the rest of the race.
Well, it's a Renault car with a Renault engine against a McLaren car with a Renault engine. Let's see if the straight line speed is comparable, and it appears to be. Going up the inside here, he may have to yield that. He doesn't want to, but he does. P13, we're +1 from the start now. Pushes us out wide and compromises our turn in there, but that's okay. Pre-select our MGU modes there. So it's just 1 flick of the switch when we're ready to adjust. Lewis Hamilton setting fastest lap, of course, as you might expect. The important thing now is going to be to try to stay in touch with Kimi Räikkönen up ahead. He punted us off in Australia, remember. Perhaps a little bit of a beef with him to settle. Well, we've made it to lap 2, and we still have all of our bits on the car, so that's an improvement. What can we do from here is the big question. Gonna have to turn the MGU down, probably toward the end of this lap, the beginning of the next. Should have a nice little slipstream, though. Probably won't be able to gain any ground because, of course, Raikkonen in front of us has the slipstream. A little bit hairy there. Got away with it. DRS will be activated at the end of this lap. We will not have it down start finish this time through, though. Yeah, we know.
DRS deployment mode to prevent this.
Just wanted it down the straight that last time. Fuel number
Is now enabled and will be
is plus 5.08. That's fine.
in the DRS zone.
Again, that is going to pay dividends later on, paying a little bit of a weight penalty now. And of course, not running the MGUK as we're trying to regen. But still a little bit of oversteer. Giovinazzi falling back. A little bit of deploy there. Shut that down again. I don't want to fall back too far. If we could just get through our strategy without any incidents, it would be good. We'd just like to gain a little bit. We have DRS, we're too far away to do anything with it though. Yellow.
Caution, caution.
We do have smoke. That is a Renault blowing up, I believe. Yep, that is, nope, that is a Haas, Kevin Magnussen. Will take the position. Yellow kind of bunched everybody up. Oh, cool to see component failures happening. Just hope it doesn't happen to us. Of course, Magnussen has a Ferrari engine in the back of his car. We have a Renault. Giovinazzi still under control behind us. DRS is open. Boy, we lost our front wing.
Damage to your wing. Suggest we box to change it. A new strategy is available on the MFT.
Well, here's the thing. We were gonna pit in a couple of laps anyway. And that's where I'm actually going to criticize the control scheme of this. Because in order to make that adjustment, I've actually got to take my hand well off of where I want it to be on the wheel. Going to put the hard tires on. Increase our downforce a little bit. All right. Gonna repair the wing, or replace the wing, put hard tires on, and we're going to hunker down. And just see what we can do with this. Hitting a couple of laps early, but that'll be okay. All right. Okay, so not the end of the world. Now I can just, if I could just keep it on the island, we'll be set.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
All right. All right, so the pit lane delta appears to be around 25, 26 seconds. So if we can just get within that zone relative to the guys in front, we may be all right. However, you can consider that a little bit of unintentional payback for Kimi Räikkönen punting us. So perhaps he'll have sustained a little bit of damage in that. I doubt it, though. Of course, these hard tires don't have quite the same level of grip as the softs we were just on. See, is anybody stopping yet? Trying to look up on the radar, can't quite see it yet. Any takers for the pit lane? Doesn't look like it. And maintain some battery left. Reserve there. Working lap 6 of 14, not quite at half distance yet.
The car in front is 16.1
Okay.
seconds.
16.1 seconds to Kubica in P18. We should overhaul him when he makes his stop. I can hear them. So they're not that far away, all things considered. So, okay, not a disaster. Just out of sequence now. Should be okay.
Some information on Vettel. They're slowing down.
Vettel slowing down?
There's some kind of problem with their car.
All right. Still no takers to the pit lane. Still a little bit early. Just got to stay where we are, and it may well come back to us.
The car ahead is coming to fit the mediums. Car ahead, now running medium tires.
All right, so Grosjean made a stop, and we didn't even know about it. So we're pretty far away still from a lot of the guys ahead. Starting to wonder if we may have been able to get away on the mediums. I don't
The
know.
car ahead is 9.9 seconds.
9.9. Again, this is where being able to keep the engine running in the higher modes may well come in later. Anybody's in the pits? Yes, couple cars in the pit lane. Couple cars have already stopped or are stopping. Right, that's us overhauled Raikkonen. And that is Mr. Torpedo.
You're putting a good distance between yourself and the car behind.
That's P16. Raikkonen immediately behind us, so we're actually up one spot relative to the aggregate. Not sure of what positions we may have lost by having to stop early and for a little bit longer because of the nose change. We'll see. But Daniel Kvyat is on the mediums. We obviously are on the hards. So in theory, his car should be faster until he has to turn his engine back. Trying to save a little bit of MGU power. All right,
Carlos is in the pits.
Carlos in the pits. Might have DRS, I think we will. Still not close enough to do much with it. There it is. Not close enough to try and move. We are close enough for him to notice us.
Whatever the problem was, we're coming back up to speed.
Whoever that was, Vettel, maybe? Wish they would actually say the driver's name again. Don't always remember who they're referring to. Other words. How's the car feeling? Feels all right. Played with the brake bias a little bit a couple of laps ago. Have DRS again, and Kvyat may well have DRS on... Is that Giovinazzi ahead? Maybe. Kvyat does not appear to have DRS. We do, obviously. High-speed corners like these, following close-ishly behind. Close-ishly, that's a word. You lose some high-speed grip there in the dirty air. DRS. Do anything with it is the question. Maybe. Got a little bit of a run. He goes defensive. We're going to go more offensive.
We need to charge the battery.
Is there contact? No contact. Okay. He'll have DRS now. We're going to try and defend. We actually have DRS as well. And he doesn't have DRS. Okay. Try and stay defensive. Threw it out a little bit wide there. We lost the position. Of course we did. All right. So this is going to be a little tete-a-tete between us. Push him out wide. Oh, wow. He just ran into the side of us, Mr. Torpedo. That wasn't my fault. And I get a warning for that? No, sir. No, sir. Not at all. Didn't give me a warning. He drove straight into the side of us. That was a suicide mission. Of course, we're going to be hurting a little bit in downforce now through the higher speed stuff. Might not affect us too badly, though. Actually, yep, car pretty much feels fine. Don't need to come in for that. But we're in P12 right now. We're only 2 spots out of the points. Kvyat has DRS. We're going to close down the inside. That'll be the last of the late breakers. Go up to the apex curbs. See, he shouldn't be allowed to just do that to me because he punted us. But whatever. As we continue to squabble over this position, Giovinazzi just gets farther and farther off into the distance.
4.8 seconds.
See? We've only got 3 laps to go on this, too. Which means that we got to start thinking about trying to take advantage of the higher engine mode that the others simply won't have at this point. They're starting to pull a little bit of a train behind us as well. It's the Norris train. Got milk. All right. I'm gonna pull out a little bit of a gap.
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
That's fine. We got 3 laps of racing remaining. Yeah, Kvyat got to worry about Hulkenberg more than he's got to worry about me. I'll take that. We'll just go defensive here, park it in the middle. No problem. Let's try to conserve a little bit of electrical power. Doesn't look like we're going to be making any inroads on Giovinazzi. And I really don't think we're scoring points today. But we are above our qualifying position, so I suppose that's consolation. No idea where Sainz is. I think he's in front of us still.
It should be a few laps at least before you start feeling too many tire issues. They seem in good condition for the time being.
Yeah, 25% wear. Going for the hards definitely was the better option in terms of degradation. And component wear looks okay. A little bit of a confidence lift needed there now.
Gap ahead is 5.6
Yep.
seconds.
5.6 seconds. We lost about another second in the last couple of laps. Just trying to save a couple percentage points more electricity. We can deploy it all down the straight.
We're leading our teammate by 1.9 seconds.
All right. So Sainz is behind us. Unfortunately, we're not going to pass him in the Drivers' Championship because he has 1 point, and we're still going to have 0 at the end of this. Now Kvyat is pulling that train. We have kind of broken clear of it, so that's a little bit better. 2 laps to go, or really basically 1.5 now. Definitely feeling some front end give up there. Still trying to put some electricity away.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
That's fine, coming down to 1 lap of racing remaining. Not close enough to Giovinazzi to take advantage of our higher engine mode.
This is your final lap of the race.
And Kvyat's got a big old run. Just going to squeeze him out to the outside. Defend that position. Defend to the inside again. Trying not to give him a run. Go a little wide there, but we control it. Wow, lost over 1 second there in the first sector. Actually used more deploy allotment on this lap than overall power. Lewis Hamilton wins the race up ahead.
Our gap to the car in front is 8.3 seconds.
He lost a ton of time in the last couple of laps relative to Giovinazzi in P11. But into the final corner for us with a little bit of a challenge from Kvyat and Hulkenberg behind. However, to the checkers with us. And there it is, P12.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
P12. Not where I wanted to finish, but ahead of our qualifying position. Yes.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Tell me, Ant, how did
There's
they
your
manage
race
to
winner,
achieve
Lewis
this?
Hamilton, again.
Time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres.
Yep, Perez, a solid points finish for him.
And I can see the drivers starting to
And to the podium.
for the victory celebrations.
Same podium, but a different order than it was in
Everybody
Australia.
played their part. Congratulations
There's your
again
top
to
three of the
Mercedes,
championship.
your race winners today.
I do have to say, though, I really do like these shots here. They've rendered all these very nicely. The colors and shapes and faces really are very good.
Some amazing
And the final
drivers
results.
out on the
Who
track
gets
today.
driver of the day?
Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
My driver of the day has to be, no question, Antonio Giovinazzi.
Ah, come on.
He's a sure drive from one of the sport's newer stars, and a performance he can be very, very proud of.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Okay, they have to give driver of the day to the guy who finishes immediately in front of me. He started 15th and finished 11th. We started 14th and finished 12th. Yeah, he did make up more spots than I did, but oh well. All in all, though, Lewis Hamilton wins over Charles Leclerc and Valtteri Bottas, respectively. Lewis Hamilton won from pole, and Valtteri Bottas up a couple of spots. He started 5th, then he finished 3rd. Verstappen and Vettel being overhauled in the process. Down to more important things. Here we are in P12. Our teammate finished in 15th. So we did outperform our teammate today. Unfortunately, we do not overhaul him in the Drivers' Championship because he has a point, and we still don't after all of this. The only DNF of the day, Kevin Magnussen, whose Ferrari engine let go. Robert Kubica finishes ahead of George Russell, so Poland will be happy about that. And Kimi Räikkönen there. We punted him. Maybe we did some damage, I don't know. We got a warning for it, but no penalty. The championship standings after round 2. The driver's title looks like this right now. Lewis Hamilton 5 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas. He's 12 points ahead of Charles Leclerc. Really, though, up to, well, pretty much everybody has a mathematical shot of winning the driver's championship still. Unfortunately, we have no points on the board. Carlos Sainz still ahead of us, our teammate, because he's got 1 point and I have got 0, even though we have each beaten each other 1 time so far this season. The Constructors' Championship looks a bit like this. Mercedes well clear ahead of Ferrari and Red Bull. Basically, Mercedes are almost ready to clinch the Constructors' Championship already. Here we are, lowly McLaren. Last point scorer is still in P8. Haas now ahead of us, if you can believe it. Romain Grosjean had a very good day. Williams and Alfa Romeo yet to score. Barring disaster, though, that is what we have from Bahrain in the second round of Formula Corona 2020, brought to you by Ferrari Man 601. I do hope that all of you enjoyed this video, and of course, to return to some real-world sentiments now, please do your best to keep your heads about you. I know that things are a little bit crazy still. However, we're going to figure this out. We are figuring this out. Remember, try to make somebody's day brighter, however that may be for you, and whatever somebody needs, if you can give it to them, make sure that you do give it to them. You just may be something that saves someone. Regardless of all of that good touchy-feely sentiment, though, I do thank you all very, very much for watching. Stay strong, stay safe, stay well. If you're in trouble, get out of trouble. Do whatever you need to do to get out of trouble. And we will see you later on with round 3 of Formula Corona in the weeks to come. Till next time, thank you all very much for watching. Ferrari Man 601 saying thanks, and of course, we will see you soon.